Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kathleen. In today's video I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys the books that I read during the month of September. So September, I consider it to be a pretty good reading month considering that school has started, so I do have to focus on that. I managed to read a total of 5 books. I had some great books that I read. One of these books is probably going to be in one of my favorite books that I read this year, and then the others were just okay. So it was just a mix of okay books and some really great books. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, and so the first book that I read during the month of September is The Elite by Kiera Cass. This is the second book in the Election series, and honestly, I was never planning on reading this series. It's just a series that I didn't think I was going to be interested in. However, the reason I picked up this series is because my good friend Chloe from the Brunette Bibliophile, this is one of her favorite series of all time, and she told me, she demanded basically that I read it. And I read the selection book a few months ago. I don't quite remember when it was, but I thought the story was okay. I could see why people love the series so much because it is, I feel like it's one of those guilty pleasure reads, but it just wasn't for me. I thought it was okay. So when I went into The Elite, I wasn't overly excited to read it just because the first book didn't really strike a chord with me. I liked it. It was okay. It was just like the first book. I have no issues with the stories. I have no issues with the love interest. In fact, the love interest, who is Prince Maxon, he's probably my favorite part about this book because I really enjoy his character. I like that he's a genuinely good guy. To me, I feel like Prince Maxon is a breath of fresh air compared to the vast majority of YA love interests. My biggest issue with this book is the main character, who is America Singer. I don't like her. I think she's very annoying, and my biggest issue with her is that she's very undecisive. She makes up her mind about something, and then a few scenes before she changes her mind. And this is in regards to the romance portion of this book. She has 2 love interests. She's trying to decide between the 2 of them. She goes for one, and then a few scenes later she changes her mind and goes for the other one, and it drives me crazy because the choice is obvious. It's so obvious, and she keeps changing her mind, and it drives me nuts. She drives me nuts. I find her very irritating, and Chloe knows this, and I'm sorry, but she is the reason why I'm not loving this series, because I like it but I just don't love it, and it's honestly because of her. So I ended up giving this book a 3.5 stars. Alright, and then the next book that I read I really ended up loving, and it is The Treatment by Suzanne Young. The Treatment is the sequel to The Program, which I did read back in August. The Program was my wrapped book for August, and I ended up really enjoying that book. It is a dystopian world where there's this epidemic of children killing themselves. These teenagers are all committing suicide, and we don't know why. So the government created a program which is supposed to be 100% guaranteed. So any teenager, any child that is exhibiting these symptoms of depression and the suicide tendencies, they go to the program, and 100% of the time these children come back without the suicide tendencies anymore. However, there is a dark side to the program, which we find out in the first book. The Treatment is picking up straight after The Program. I don't want to talk too much about it because obviously it's a sequel and I don't want to be spoilery, but it is an amazing series. I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, just because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why, especially because I do love my dystopians. They just sat on my shelf for so long, and I never picked it up, and finally I did in August, and I ended up really loving this series. I enjoy the characters. I love everything that's going on, and the second book really explained a lot more to what's going on with this world, and I enjoyed it. But I'm so excited to continue on with this series, and I would highly recommend it if you guys have not checked out The Program. So I ended up giving this book 4 stars. Alright, and then the next book that I read during the month of September was my September wrapped book, and it was The Newt's Emerald by Garth Nix. This is almost like a magical realism story, and it follows this family where the main character, the girl, someone stole this family heirloom, which was this emerald, and this emerald contains a lot of magic, and it's supposed to be passed down to her. So this whole book is about trying to find this emerald, and I honestly, when I first bought this book, I bought it because I absolutely loved this cover. It's an absolutely gorgeous cover. This book was okay. There was just not a lot going on because, again, this entire story is just about finding the emerald. There's obviously a romantic interest, and I kind of liked him. But honestly, to me, the story was very forgettable. I don't remember too much of the important details of this book. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. It was a fun read while I was reading it, but as I said, it's a pretty forgettable book, and I will actually be unhauling this book just because I will never read it again, and I don't have any really special attachments to this book at all. Alright, and then the next book that I read was the Biblio Squad's book pick of the month for the month of September, and it was Mirage by Somaya Daud. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. I apologize if it's not, but this is supposed to be like a sci-fi book set in outer space, and it's about this girl. Her people are slaves to these other people that took over their planet, and one day during a party, robots that belong to the royal family, the people that took over her planet, they come and they're doing an inspection, and come to find out that she looks identical to the princess of the royal family. Again, the people that made her family, her people, slaves. They take her, and she ends up becoming a body double for the princess because she looks identical to the princess, and it's a really weird thing. The fact that they look exactly alike is never really explained in this book, and I thought that was really odd. I wish there was some kind of explanation as to why they look identical. Again, the concept of doppelgangers obviously exists, but even then there are some differences between doppelgangers. According to the book, they look completely identical, and I would like to know why, and I hope in the sequel it is explained. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. The reason why is because the princess, she's a very cruel princess. She got that from her father, who also happens to be a very cruel king. She does things to the slaves and to her own people that are not okay. She tortures them, and throughout this book, one thing that I noticed is that the author tried to humanize her. Again, she does have her issues. There's a reason why she's like the way that she is, but I don't like that the author kind of tried to explain away her action. If you're gonna make the princess cruel, go ahead and make her cruel, but don't try to humanize her. I don't like that. If you read the book, you'll understand. I don't think I'm explaining it correctly. Besides that, I found the story to be very forgettable. It was full of tropes that I didn't really enjoy. I feel like also the main character, who is again the body double of the princess, she makes very stupid decisions that really bug me, and the things that she does really I was not okay with. And if you guys would like to hear more of my thoughts onto why I didn't enjoy this book as much as I wanted to, go ahead and watch our Biblio Squad live show. I'll leave it linked on the screen for you guys. Alright, and then the final book that I read during the month of September, it ended on a great note because I absolutely loved this book, and it is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This was the Once Upon a Read-Along's book pick of the month for the month of September, and I've had this book in my shelves for a long time. I actually got this from an Owl Crate box. I ended up loving this book. All the hype surrounding this book, it totally deserves it because it's a great book. Our main character, Eliza, she is the creator of this incredibly popular webcomic. She creates this webcomic and millions of people watch it. She's very introverted. She doesn't like crowds. She has a lot of anxiety and mental health issues, so she's very a lone person. She likes to stay up in her room and really just work on her webcomic. So one day this guy, he moves to her school, and he's supposed to be like a huge fan of her webcomic, and he actually writes fan fiction for her webcomic, and he is one of the most popular fan fiction writers for her comic that exists. And she keeps her identity a secret from him, but then her identity is outed and everyone finds out who she is and what she does, and it creates this huge issue. I loved this book so much. I related to Eliza so much on, not on everything, but on a lot of issues, on a lot of personal issues. I identified with her and I loved her, and a lot of the things that she felt I understood, and I was like, girl, I'm with you. If you guys have not read it, despite the hype, because this book is very hyped up, I would so highly recommend it because it's absolutely fantastic. This is definitely one of my favorite books that I read this year. You guys will see me talking about it on my favorite books of 2018 at the end of the year, 5 out of 5 stars. And there you go, guys. That was my September wrap up. some great books that I read this month and some okay-ish books. Let me know down in the comments below if you have read any of these books and what you thought about them, because I would really love to know. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. All of my social medias are linked down below, including Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads if you'd like to follow me on those platforms. I hope to see you guys on my next video. Have a good day guys, and keep reading. Bye!